Peace lads, how you all doing? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, and today I'm going to bring you guys the Norwich versus Leicester match preview. So today guys, I'm going to bring you the match preview for the game on Friday night where the Foxes travel down to CARROW to take on Norwich in the Premier League. So as you can probably tell by now, I am stood up, which is completely different to any other video you will see on the channel. Usually I'm sat over there in the chair for previews and reviews, but this video is very rushed. I'm filming this on Thursday at 6 PM. Obviously the game is tomorrow on Friday night at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to try and get this preview out as soon as possible for you guys. Obviously it's not going to be the same as any other preview. The quality won't be the same and it probably won't be as long as any other preview. But I'm going to try and get some sort of preview for the game out for you guys. Hopefully you do enjoy this. Sorry about this, but we'll get back to the usual ways for the next game against Birmingham. We'll have the match preview for that one. So as always, we're going to start off by talking about our opposition, which is obviously Norwich for this week's game down at CARROW. This week I've got Lewis from Norwich City Central to you guys on the Norwich side of things heading into today's game. A big thanks to him for coming on the channel today. Like always, there'll be a link to his channel in the description down below, Norwich City Central. Make sure you drop a subscription to him. Like I said earlier, a big thanks to him for coming on the channel today. But I'm going to hand over to him and he's going to give you guys the Norwich side of the match preview.
Hello everybody, it's Lewis from Norwich City Central. I hope you're all well. Leicester fans, just giving my quick thoughts on Norwich City and what you might expect from this Norwich City team Friday night under the lights at CARROW. Really looking forward to this game. Really been impressed with Leicester this season at their third in the table. Yes, their form's dipped off slightly perhaps in the last month or so, but Leicester are a team who I'm confident are going to get Champions League football, and they've been a joy to watch this season. You've developed our own James Maddison fantastically, and players like VARDY, Harvey Barnes are so impressive as well. I believe Wilfred Ndidi is not going to be fit for this game, which is a slight bonus for us because I love how Ndidi, I think he's probably the best central defensive midfielder in the league, Wilfred Ndidi. But for Norwich, let's talk about Norwich. In our last game at CARROW Road was a 1-0 defeat to the Liverpool. We played really well in this game against Liverpool, defended well. Unfortunately, Liverpool hit us with a late goal. So Norwich is obviously we're bottom of the table, sitting with 18 points, 7 points adrift of relegation. If you look at the table, you probably think we're a very poor team, and don't get me wrong, we deserve to be in the relegation zone, but I feel like we should have a few more points on the board. We've been quite unlucky with injuries this season, and no team has dropped more points in December in Premier League history than Norwich. And typically at CARROW Road, we are quite good. I think there's a fantastic stat if you look at our home record in the first 45 minutes of games. We're third in the table, but then come 90 minutes we're at 18th. So don't be surprised if Norwich City take the first goal. We'll have a really good first half. But what happens with Norwich is we probably lack a little bit of game management experience at the top level. We sometimes struggle to see out games, so it's going to be a really interesting one. Players to look out for: Timo Pukki, 11 goals in the Premier League this season. Had a really good start. He's slightly dropped off since, but he's still a very good player. And our two attacking midfielders, you'll definitely know of Todd Cantwell, 6 Premier League goals this season, and exciting. He plays on the wing, but he likes to drift inside. He's got confidence, he's got a swagger about him, and that could take him to the very top. But also Emi Buendia as well. Emi Buendia has created the second most amount of chances in the league, and he's a fantastic player on his day. So Norwich have got some very threatening offensive players. But defensively, if you take out the Wolves game, in recent weeks we've been better defensively, but overall we haven't been good enough, and that's why we sit at the bottom of the table. But a fascinating game, this one. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to predict an optimistic 1-1 draw, just like what happened at the King Power Stadium. Thanks for having me on the channel, and if you are new to this channel, subscribe. And if you do want any content around Norwich City Central, then head over to that channel. Thank you.
So that was the Norwich side of the match preview, so a big thanks for Lewis coming on the channel today. But let's get into the Leicester side of the match preview. So, Norwich away down at CARROW Road on a Friday night. It's going to be a tricky game for the Foxes in my opinion. Even though the Canaries are sat at bottom place, 20th place in the Premier League table, it's going to be a tricky game. The Canaries came to the King Power Stadium earlier on this season. They managed to pick up a point with that 1-1 draw, and to be honest, Norwich really should have gone on to win that game. So it's going to be a tricky game. Norwich, even though they're sitting bottom place in the Premier League table, they've been unlucky on a few occasions so far this season where they should have picked up a point, or maybe even 3 points in the game where they lost unluckily, to be perfectly honest. We're seeing at CARROW this season, they've obviously beaten Manchester City. Liverpool, obviously, who are basically on the Premier League, went there, only won 1-0. So it's going to be a tricky game, and with Leicester's poor form at the moment, it could be another banana slip as the season comes to an end. But hopefully the Foxes can go out and get the 3 points. Since that Norwich game at home, Leicester have really not been themselves. Obviously, we started the season so well under Brendan Rodgers. Obviously, still sitting third place in the Premier League table in that Champions League space. It's absolutely incredible from Leicester under Brendan Rodgers. But like I said, since that Norwich game, Leicester have really struggled to get a good run of form going like we did earlier on this season. But hopefully we can turn it around. This could be the start of a good run of form to end the season off, and hopefully we can take the 3 points against Norwich. But like I said, it's going to be a very tricky game down at Carrow Road on Friday night. So onto my score prediction, I'm going to go with Leicester to take all 3 points away from Carrow Road on Friday night. I'm going to go with a 3-1 win to Leicester. I think there's going to be quite a few goals in this game. Norwich have rarely kept a clean sheet so far this season in the Premier League. So like I said, I'm expecting a lot of goals. It really could go either way, but I'm going to go with a Leicester win. I'm going to go with Leicester to win 3-1 away from home down at Carrow Road. I'm going to go with Jamie Vardy to grab a brace. Obviously, Vardy not scored in 7. I think this is the game where Vardy is going to get back to scoring brace. I've said this a lot of times, but I really think Vardy is going to go down to Carrow Road and get a brace against Norwich. And the other goal scorer, I'm going to go with James Maddison to score against his former club. Obviously, the former Norwich man who arrived at the King Power Stadium 2 years ago from the Canaries. And for Norwich, I'm going to go with Timo Pukki to score. Obviously, Pukki is a real threat up front. It's going to be difficult to stop him, but hopefully Leicester can get the 3 points. And I'm going to go with a 3-1 win. So getting straight onto team news from the Foxes, Hamza Chowdhury is back in contention after his red card against Wolves ruled him out that Manchester City game last time out in the Premier League. Wilfred Ndidi, it's looking very unlikely that the Nigerian international is going to play or start in this game against Norwich. We may see him on the bench, but it's looking very unlikely that Wilfred Ndidi is going to have a part to play in this game against Norwich down at Carrow Road. So yeah, they're the real team news from Leicester. Hamza Chowdhury coming back in is a big bonus in midfield as well for the Foxes. So now getting straight into my 1-11s, this is the side I think Brendan Rodgers will go with to start on Friday night down at Carrow Road against Norwich. Interestingly enough, I'm going to go with a 5-3-2. Obviously, that formation was used against Manchester City, and to be perfectly honest, it worked very well. Obviously, we were very unlucky to not get anything out of that game. Go and watch my match review if you haven't already for that one. But yeah, I'm going to go with a 5-3-2 formation to start against Norwich down at Carrow Road. So in goal, I'm going to go with Kasper Schmeichel. Obviously, he made that brilliant penalty save against City last time out in the Premier League. The back five is going to be the same as the back five which started against Manchester City. So in the right wing back position, I'm going to go with Ricardo. 3 centre backs being Evans, Soyuncu and Christian Fuchs. Left wing back being Ben Chilwell. 3-man midfield, I'm going to go with Hamza Chowdhury to come in for Dennis Pratt, and then Maddison and Tielemans ahead of them. And a 2-man strike force of Jamie Vardy and Kelechi Iheanacho. Obviously Iheanacho got that slight injury, but it's looking like Kelechi will be back fit for this Norwich game. So that's it for this Norwich versus Leicester match preview. A big apologies once again for this scaled down version of the match preview. But we should be back in FA Cup action with the normal match preview against Birmingham in the 5th round of the FA Cup down at the King Power Stadium. A big thanks to Norwich City Central from Lewis for coming on the channel today. Like I said earlier on, link to his channel will be in the description down below. And let me know your score predictions in the comment section down below for this huge game against Norwich in the Premier League down at Carrow Road. The match review should be normal, should be back on the chat as normal because I know you guys do prefer it that way. But yeah, big thanks if you are watching right now, guys. I'll see you all in the Norwich match review, guys. Bye, SPORTSA, and I'll see you all in my next video. Peace out.